Today I'm going to talk about something that my grandmother says to me every single chance she gets. And this is coming from a grandmother who is 95 years old. So she had a lot of time on his earth, right? She always says to me, the world is big and wide. Whenever I go to her to express a frustration or a problem or just some limiting beliefs, she always reminds me that the world is big and wide. And where is she going with this? If you've grown up in poverty, like most people in the world, and you are naturally in survival mode, you're trying to figure it out, you're either wondering where your next meal is coming from, how are you going to pay your bills, how are you going to survive until the next paycheck. That is typically the norm for a lot of people until you get yourself on the other side, right? But if you've spent most of your young life in that state, when you become older, even if you get to a better financial position, you still have those tendencies to be thinking in limitations. Not to your fault, but that's just normally how it works, right? Because it really does take a longer time to unlearn something than it takes to learn something. Because unlearning implies that you knew something, you're trying to change your train of thoughts. And that requires a lot more effort, a lot more intentionality, and a lot more patience, a part of the equation that we sometimes skip over because we think if we just put in enough work and we do enough other things, then it's just going to work. And sometimes most of the work is patience after we've done the heavy lifting, the physical or mental labor. And so we've conditioned ourselves to just see limitations. So when she always says to me the world is big and wide, it sounds kind of contradictory because we only know what we know. We think that opportunities are limited based on our experiences. We think that we are only going to be qualified for a certain thing based on what we've been taught our entire lives. And there are limitations that we have, but I have had so much tremendous experiences that I know that there are opportunities out there for me that I don't even intersect with as yet, and I don't have the qualifications for them. Because the reason why I can say this now is because I've lived through it. I've gotten a lot of opportunities that I did not even qualify for. Not to say that I don't have credentials, because I do, but I mean directly, I wasn't directly the most qualified person for that opportunity. But because I have other qualifications, it got me in some rooms that opened the doors for other opportunities. And so sometimes we get experiences that are not always parallel, but life is full of ebbs and flows. This is something that I'm trying to grapple my mind around every single day, because the path is not always a straight one. It's definitely not always a smooth one, but that does not mean you won't get there. And sometimes, because we can only see these limitations, we think that if we don't see the path from A to Z, that it doesn't exist or that it's not going to happen for us. And I'm not going to play a hypocrite. There are many times when I find myself trapped in that mindset of thinking that it's not going to happen for me because I just cannot see how. And I am a very analytical person. This is something that I have to manage for myself because it has its pros and definitely the cons. You know, the cons are trying to see how everything is going to work out. And I don't always have the answers for how anything is going to work out. And because I'm often the person who is encouraging other people that it's going to work out, I have to find that confidence for myself. I have to borrow it from, I don't even know where I'm borrowing it from, but I have to borrow it sometimes, right? From my future self. I have to borrow it from my future self to believe that it's going to happen, even if I cannot see the straight path. I was having a conversation a couple of days ago, and we were talking about our lives, how it has really turned out over the last couple of years, right? Say 10 years, basically since I've left high school. And we were kind of going through, you know, what we've accomplished and how life has really been treating us. And in the middle of the conversation, I said to one of the persons I was talking to, I said, throughout this time, I have invested a lot in myself through my formal education and so forth. And I've gone through a lot of ebbs and flows. Like, I'm definitely not the same person I was 10 years ago. And obviously, I'm not the same age, but not even just age, maturity wise, mental wise, the way that I look at challenges, the way that I present myself, my cadence, all of it is not the same, right? But after all of this time, the number one question that many people ask me is about my weight loss. And I thought to myself, like, it's the craziest thing, because there's so much questions you could literally ask me. There's so much knowledge that everybody has packed up inside. Sometimes I think waiting to be screaming to be let out, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing my YouTube channel, because there are things that I just really believe that people can learn from my experiences, but yet still the questions that we ask sometimes are very concerning. And everybody is going through a lot of different things that are going to create a different experience on their path, so I'm not judging people based on what they're asking, but I understand that they're asking based on what their perception of what's going on, right? But throughout these 10 years, as I'm just trying to figure it out, because we were basically talking about the fact that I've gone through all of these things, and I'm struggling to fully identify what am I good at and what career path I actually want to go on. It's a lot of digging, and I would have thought, after investing so much effort and energy into my education and just my progress overall, that I would have had it figured out right now. And I don't. And that is a very scary thought, because I would have understood if I wasn't doing anything to figure it out, but I have actively been trying, literally, and it just feels like hitting a brick wall. And I had a tunnel vision of where I wanted to go, and I've just been relentlessly trying to pursue that vision up to now, realizing that that's not even the path that I want to go on. And not necessarily that it's not, but more so like, what else actually fits me better, the curiosity aspect of it. And so we were talking about the fact that I went through all of this process and I still haven't figured it out, and I thought that process was supposed to help me figure it out, but because I had my blinders on, I was just looking here. So when she says to me the world is big and wide, it's both freeing and stifling. Because freeing in the way that, okay, it's never too late for a shower of free. You can always start over. You can always pour back into yourself. You can always figure it out and figure out multiple different paths, and not think that you have to just have one path in your head. As I always like to say, the goals stay the same, but the path is flexible, because there's different ways to accomplish different things. We can both be going to somewhere. We can take multiple routes. Somebody can fly, somebody can drive. I would hope nobody is riding bicycles to flying distance, but the point is, there are multiple different ways to get to the same destination, right? And hearing her say the world is big and wide, it just makes me see that, okay, this path may not have worked. This is not an indication that I am a failure. This is not an indication that I failed at life. But it's an indication that I tried something. It's not what I want. Now let's go figure it out again. So the part of it that's terrifying is the fact that there are so much different opportunities for you to have this analysis paralysis, because you're trying to figure everything out. The perfectionism in me is trying to figure everything out. And you know what's something that I noticed lately? Ever since I stopped trying to be perfect, I'm kind of getting a lot more things done, one, but also they are not perfect, and I don't feel petrified about not doing a perfect job anymore. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but I'm realizing that I've seen some things, sometimes I kind of want to go back over it and adjust it, and I kind of just let it be and move on with my day. And the world did not end, as we are still here, right? And so the world is big and wide. I don't know who needs to hear this. I'm still figuring it out. I would not proclaim that I have. I'm in the middle of a transition right now and figuring out what that looks like. I've just ended a very stressful season and I'm still defrosting. I feel like I'm in this weird middle place where I am defrosting. I don't have much momentum at this point. I'm kind of just going with the ebbs and flows and trying to get a grip on things, but I also am trying to fully detox and not grip before I'm fully thawed. You know what I mean? I don't know why I keep saying that, but that is the stage that I'm in. It's kind of a very weird stage, especially coming from a very intense season to now being in limbo. It's not the best feeling, but it's also a phase where I have to ask myself a lot of questions and sit with the answers, not trying to jump to conclusions, not trying to get all the answers today, right now, being okay with not having anything figured out and being confident that I can and will figure it out. It's where I'm at. So if you are in this space where I'm at currently, or even if you've recently left this space, I would love to hear your thoughts below on how you navigate this, kind of weird. I have literally done everything by the book and feels like I'm still not there, right? I'd love to hear how you navigate that season in the comments below. But for anybody who is, whether you're just starting out your career life, you're just trying to figure it out, you're just coming into adulthood and you're trying to navigate what's going on, the world is big and wide, as my grandma will always tell me. There is multiple different possibilities. It's never too late to figure it out and figure it out and figure it out and figure it out again. And it gets exhausting sometimes because you really want to just get it right. But get it right compared to who? I'd rather keep figuring it out and know that I'm doing it to get myself to a space where I feel like I'm thriving rather than keeping up with what society expects of me and I'm living a miserable life. And sometimes that's very rough, especially initially, until you get your footing in. And it takes time to get your footing in. And that's why I said patience is one of the number one tools that we have to relearn how to navigate. All right, so if this video was informative to you, please give me a thumbs up and share it with anybody who could benefit from this content. And if you've been watching the videos and you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you a part of the family. And follow me on all social media platforms at Khrista-Lee Amor. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And I'll see you in my next video. Let's go make some mistakes. Bye.